Can you see what's going on? Now squint. There's barely an image there. No, don't adjust your monitor. This is the way it was intended to look. Now watch the scene again with a waveform scope that measures brightness. Let's compare it to a more conventionally lit film. But why? Why did the filmmakers of Arrival light it this way? How dark is too dark? I was looking for a cinematographer with a very precise sensibility towards natural light, director Denis Villeneuve says. I wanted the movie to have strong roots in realism. I wanted a cinematographer who would not be afraid to deal with intimacy.
We wanted to create a sci-fi movie that, like when you're a kid in a school bus on a rainy day going to school and you dream looking at the clouds, and it's raining, and that kind of atmosphere.
For you, it's not underexposure. For you, it's darkness.
It's darkness. Underexposure for me just comes naturally. Most of the artists, if not all the artists, directors that I've had a chance to collaborate have been very supportive in my exploration of darkness.
That said, this intrinsic relationship between darkness and realism has been explored in the visual arts for centuries.
That's one of the things with the Caravaggio. Colors, in my mind, when I see the compositions and when I see the light, the way light is used, usually from a light source, one light source that's coming down, it's as colorful as black and white in my mind. Because to me, I love color in film, but black and white is also color.
Caravaggio was known for his famous use of light and shadows, as much as his preference for using actual people from the streets as his subjects. He had an obsession with capturing the most minute details. If the model had dirty fingernails, he would paint them. He was a storyteller, and through his combined use of realism and dramatic lighting, Caravaggio reimagined how Bible stories looked, while adding an uncommon level of humanism that was far ahead of his time. Of course, no other style embraces darkness like film noir.
How's this?
From its German expressionist roots, noir later evolved to infuse psychological depth, abstraction, postmodernism, and post-nuclear anxieties in the wake of World War II. Noir used darkness to conceal as much as to express the troubling nature of the unknown. These concerns and tendencies pushed darkness in daring, complex ways, making it one of the most enduring and recognizable styles in American cinema. Noir as a style and a genre was the rebellious alternative to the bright escapism of Technicolor films at the time.
Follow the yellow brick road.
That I cannot do.
In the late 60s and 70s, noir influenced many of the cinematographers of the new Hollywood movement, who sought to break away from the rigidity and gloss of popular studio productions in order to depict a more honest portrait of the collective consciousness, along with a pervading sense of cynicism catalyzed by Watergate and America's involvement in Vietnam. Gordon Willis, known as the Prince of Darkness, famously insisted on using as little light as possible for The Godfather.
You don't really want to see his eyes. There was a big Hollywood rush about you can't see his eyes. That's right, you can't. Till they were revealed a little bit later, it began opening things up a bit, but you can't just do it for him. You have to extend it into the whole feel of the movie. So that's what I did. Another thing you have to think of, what it is you want to see, and when you want to see it.
What'd you wish?
I wish.
Legendary cinematographer Vilmos Zsigmond experimented with a photographic process known as flashing in order to create his hazy, desaturated effect.
It's interesting that when you talk about what's real and what's not real, real can be natural, it could be naturalistic, and real thing could be actually a sort of poetic realism. That means it's real, but it has poetry, that it's real, but it's better than real. You find locations and you turn it into a scene with the mood of the lighting and all that to fit that certain movie, that certain scene, and that certain style which the film is developed. So this is the kind of a thing which I try to do and call it real.
Low-key lighting became a kind of signature look for what we see and feel as realism.
As you all know, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn, disappeared 3 days ago.
In recent decades, David Fincher has developed his distinct visual style through his extensive use of underexposure. His remarkable consistency has helped to define his body of work as a genre unto itself. Like Fincher, Denis Villeneuve continues to make his mark with his tense, dread-heavy style, with a penchant for surrealism and experimentation. But like any tool, darkness in the wrong hands can be disastrous. Something was tonally off about these movies.
I dig it.
Perhaps the creators of Game of Thrones thought everyone had a perfectly calibrated television. Reminders of watching The Godfather on VHS in the 80s and 90s was a similarly frustrating experience.
It's not personal. It's strictly business.
But unlike shooting on physical film stock, digital cameras and post-production technology now give filmmakers the ability to easily create and emulate just about any film look they want. Pushing light and darkness levels has never been easier. One modern theory suggests that filmmakers and colorists have become accustomed to the flat, desaturated image of raw digital footage. This untreated quality implies the impression of unfiltered, grounded reality. Another theory is the axiom that art reflects the world in our current times. Perhaps we can learn from darkness. Perhaps we can accept its invitation to look closer. Perhaps darkness can be revealing and show us things that light cannot.